welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to specifically focus on why are you attracting the wrong men? Why are you actually attracting and then staying in relationships with the wrong men is even a deeper question that I want to address. So let's start off this video by saying that we are all people on a process of growth and learning about this world. There's no, besides the Bible, there's no book that says that this is the way to live life and this is how life is going to be. And I think all of us are learning how to navigate life, and we're each unique people. So there's different difficulties that arise that each of us have never experienced, and we're just trying to figure that out. So give yourself some credit. Don't be too hard on yourself for possibly being in the same type of pattern with men for a while, okay? So the first thing that I want to start off with saying how to identify why you're dating the wrong men is one, self-awareness. So you're on this video, which tells me that you've realized there's something off about your dating life or the type of men that you're attracted to. So you're trying to figure out what's going on. That's the biggest step. It's the hardest step is always figuring out that, or admitting that something might not be fully right within yourself, or like there's some type of pattern, and it suggests that there's something wrong with you. So kudos to you for not shifting blame and making somebody else completely wrong and saying there must be something that I could be doing to cause this type of thing, right? So the first thing that you have done is self-awareness. I have a pattern that doesn't look good and I want to fix that. The second thing that you need to do to figure out why you're attracting or dating the wrong men is to figure out what is that underlying pattern of behavior or thought process that's causing you to stay in relationships with men that have, men that are abusive, narcissistic, selfish, just all those different things. What's going on in you, okay? So I've identified 4 things to me that are the major causes of why women, and this could be for men too, why we enter into relationships with people and stay in them when we know it's not healthy. And this video cannot go into great detail. I'll make more videos about each specific one later on, and you can definitely ask me questions on the comment, and you can read my articles on adorned.com for more information on this subject. For right now on this video, I can only touch each one very, just very small, un poquito, okay? So the first step was self-awareness, and the second step is identifying what's going on. And within that second step, here are the different things that I want to suggest that could possibly be why you're attracting and dating the wrong men. So the first thing that I think is low self-esteem, okay? Now, remember the 4 things that I'm about to say? You could be dealing with multiple of those, but the first one that I mentioned is low self-esteem because it's easy to point that one out, okay? And a majority of us struggle with low self-esteem. There's nothing new under the sun, right? So if you're dealing with low self-esteem, what's probably happening in your life is you're accepting men that you probably wouldn't accept because you think that's the best that you can get. And you could do this purposefully, and you could do it like subconsciously, okay? Like maybe you see that doctor over there and he seems to be very nice, he's good with kids, and you're like, wow, he's a great guy, but he'd never be into me. So you never put yourself in an area with those type of guys. But then if you meet a guy at the bar and he gives you your number, you're like, I wouldn't want to meet a guy at the bar, but I'll take his number. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything necessarily wrong with where you meet a guy. What I'm trying to say is, where is your comfort level of where you meet a guy? Or, like if you have to go to a networking party and you meet a guy there, would you think that at that networking party that anybody there would be interested in you? You might be like, no, he'd probably want to date that top executive woman. Look how beautiful she is. So you like automatically count yourself out, and then you almost settle for what you think that you deserve, right? So I say self-esteem can poison the type of men that you date, because you might even start talking to the guy, and then you realize that some things are off, but you're like, well, he loves me so well, and would I ever meet somebody like this? And you fail to see that, like, maybe you deserve completely better than what he's offering you, you know? And you just kind of settle, okay? And that moves us into my second thing of what you could be doing to date and to attract and keep dating the wrong type of people is lack of boundaries and awareness. So low self-esteem kind of flows right into the lack of boundaries and self-awareness. So when you have low self-esteem, you tend to focus more on yourself and not the what's going on around you. Not all the time, of course. There's exceptions to the rules. But in certain situations, especially with high trigger or high stress situations, I think for me, I've been less aware of what's going on around me because I'm so focused on, like, oh, maybe he would never be interested in me. So let me paint you a little picture. Okay, you're at a networking party, and you see this guy that you think is really nice, and maybe you've heard your friends talk about him before, and he's just an amazing guy. So the first, you low self-esteem, you say, oh, he'd never be interested in me. And then because you're so inwardly focused on what's going on inside of you, that you're not focused on necessarily maybe even how he's been treating people. Maybe he's not a nice guy at all, right? So you just totally miss signs and cues that he's not a good fit for you. Or you might even miss signs and cues that he's kind of like, hey, what's going on with her? I've totally missed that in the past. Thinking, oh, they're just being friendly or whatever, because of my low self-esteem. Now, why are lack of boundaries and awareness a problem? Because what if that guy from the networking party walks up to you, right? And he starts talking to you, and you're like, wow, he's a great guy. He sounds awesome. He's been to NASA Space Center, and he's been to Italy and Rome, and he's the executive in his company, and he makes a 6-figure salary. Wow. And you're just like blown away. I can't believe he talked to me. And then in your head, you're like, okay, don't do anything to mess this up. That's all you're thinking. Don't do anything to mess this up. So you might have even missed in the conversation with him that he is, there's just some things that you don't like about him. Or maybe you totally overlooked those things that you didn't like about him because there's so much else that you like about him, right? And then so he gets your number, he calls you, and then he's calling you every day after. And you're like, he's going a little bit too fast for me, and he's wanting to talk. He seems a little possessive, but no, he's just really into me, and he's a really great guy, so, and I don't want to do anything to mess that up. So your lack of boundaries is, first of all, you didn't feel comfortable with the way that he was pursuing you. And then the lack of awareness is because you were so caught up in what you were thinking and feeling that you didn't give full attention to the red flags that he had. And you kind of walked into a situation with someone that you probably wouldn't have if you had the time to truly evaluate who they were, right? And then your low self-esteem probably, you're like, wow, I'll never meet somebody like this, or different reasons. So you're like, you know what? Once they kind of got you in relationship, you kind of might settle for some of the red flags that you see because you're like, wow, I'm never gonna meet a guy like this because he makes 6 figures. He calls me and checks on me all the time, even though he's possessive. It might be a little okay because he loves me, and I've never been loved like this. Nobody's ever wanted to see what I'm doing all day. So do you see what I'm trying to go? And some of these scenarios might not look exactly the same for you because we're different people, once again, with different emotions, and the way that we think and feel are different. So I want you to try to think of different scenarios outside of what I'm saying, to see if these different things are a fit for you. So the first thing I said was low self-esteem, lack of boundaries and awareness. And then the third thing that I want to go over is you don't vocalize your needs. Okay, and once again, that all ties in, kind of, right? Because if you have low self esteem and then you're afraid of messing something up, and then you have lack of awareness or boundaries where you're not fully like, yeah, you're like, he seems possessive, but I think it's okay. So you're less likely to speak up because you don't even fully trust yourself, or you're scared to speak up. You're like, if I tell him I don't like being called every day, he might stop calling me. Now, see that this is important. See, when you do speak up and vocalize your needs, you will realize kind of some dysfunctions of other people. That's what I've noticed as I've grown older. And that other person gets to see what you like and what you don't like, and then they're able to exit your life if they don't like it, you know. But people like us that are healing in self-esteem, where we take someone leaving as a rejection of we take it on ourselves, right? We say, if I vocalize my needs and he doesn't like that and he leaves, that means I'm ugly, I'm a horrible person. You know, we tend to do all that. So we're like, I'm just going to keep quiet and I'm not going to say anything so that he'll stay. But really what we do is we're hiding dysfunction, and it's going to show up later. So now, for example, with the guy that's been calling every day, let's say I'm talking to him on the phone. I'm like, Tony, I'm really enjoying talking to you, but you call me every day, and I don't have time to do the little projects that I've been trying to do, and I also feel like you don't trust me a little bit. And then Tony might go, what do you mean projects? What kind of projects do you have to do? You don't think I'm important? Like, no, Tony, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. I think you're very important. That's why I've been talking to you. But I just really need to work on like this blog, this art, adornedheart.com. I have some projects, and I just really want to help women out there. You know, I could be doing other things. I could be, like, I'm a 6-figure salary type of guy. I could be making tons of money, but I take the time to call you, and you don't appreciate me. Like, what? My time is precious, and you're acting like I just I can't say the word, frivolously just call you, right? That's not Tony, that's not what I'm saying. That is what you're saying. I'm gonna go. I gotta go. Oh, Tony doesn't want to talk to me. Tony thinks that I'm not appreciative of his time, and I'm so sad about that. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to let Tony call me whenever, because he's absolutely right. Why didn't I think about that? He does make 6 salaries. He takes all that time to call me, and he could be calling any girl. I should be lucky. Now, ladies or gentlemen that are watching this, do you see what just happened? Tony totally shifted things on me. And because I had low self-esteem, and I had lack of boundaries and lack of awareness of what he was doing in that conversation, of spinning things on me, right? And then I wasn't strong in vocalizing my needs. My needs got ran over, and I allowed him to do that because I had low self-esteem and lack of boundaries, right? And I walked into his pattern, right? And then I said to myself, the only reason why he behaved like that was because I didn't behave properly. So as long as I behave myself, he'll behave himself too. So me and Tony continue to talk. I never vocalize my needs again. Me and Tony are good, right? But years and years pass down, and Tony is very selfish, but because I have problems vocalizing my needs and trusting that I deserve to have needs, Tony's able to skate right by that. Okay? So I've been walking into a dysfunctional relationship this whole time, and I had no clue. Okay? And some of you might have never had that conversation with Tony where you told Tony you don't like being called all the time. So that's why some of you guys are in relationships, and 6 years down the line, you go, where did that come from? Sweetie, it was always there. He was always like that. But because your dysfunction matched his dysfunction, it just kind of... And what do I mean by that? I mean, you had low self-esteem. He maybe like power hungry. So you gave in to everything that he said. So he had all the power in the relationship, right? But then later on, when you're maybe realizing, starting to come into more awareness, and you start to talk about that power shift, that's where he's getting upset and he's manifesting. And you're like, wow, he's changing. No, Tony's always been who Tony is. You changed, and Tony doesn't like you changing. So that's what this whole relationship problem dynamic has been this whole time, is that Tony wants you to stay exactly who you are, no matter how much he's hurt you. And this is where there's problems later on in the relationship too, because after a period of time, after being oppressed by Tony or hurt by Tony, eventually your heart starts to hurt. And eventually, when you've been hurt enough, you have no choice but to vocalize your needs. And you learn to vocalize your needs through passive aggressiveness, through being assertive, through different things. And that's when Tony's gonna step on you. And that's where you see sometimes men start to become abusive, or start to become, or you start to see their full abusive tendencies, right? Or you start to see them blame shift a lot, or just a whole bunch of different like unhealthy tactics, because they're trying to put you back in your place, right? Because women shouldn't speak, women should be silent, and you should do as you're told. That's what the narrative of this, these type of relationships might be. And once again, the abusive cycle that you're in could look totally different. It doesn't have to be necessarily this specific thing, but I just want you to understand how low self-esteem, lack of boundaries, and not vocalizing your needs can cause you to enter and stay in a relationship that's not healthy. And then later on, you're like, what happened? Because you were broken, you attracted a broken man. And when you started to get healed, baby, that's when he started to react negatively. He's like, oh, she's healing. And sometimes he might notice that you're healing and you're going to try to leave him. Okay? So he might be scared of you leaving. So he has a lot of different insecurities inside of him in why he's even trying to keep you in his place. It's not necessarily, I don't want you guys to leave this video thinking that the person that you've been with, or that you're dating, or that you've previously been with is evil. They're not evil. They're broken, okay? And hurt people. Broken people attract broken people, okay? And I think that's why there's always that saying of be who you want to date, okay? So if you want to date somebody that's not trying to break you, then you need to be healed inside, where you're like, you heal your self-esteem so that you vocalize your needs, and you're not afraid of a man leaving you, and you're not afraid of communicating. I don't like that you call me every day, Tony. And then the man that's right for you, the men that are wrong are going to leave, and you're going to be like, bye, Tony. And then you're going to have Julio, hola, mommy. And you're like, hola. And you're like, Julio, I don't like when you call me all the time. I have things to do, Julio. And Julio's like, mommy, I love you. That's okay. Okay, just let me know if I'm calling you too much. Let me know if I'm being too possessive, if you feel I'm being too possessive, because I never want to do that to you, mommy. You're like, Julio, where did you come from? Now, Julio is the healed version, right? So when I express my need, Julio doesn't take it as I'm trying to leave him or I'm trying to be disrespectful. Julio takes it as like, okay, I'm with an independent woman, and I want to treat her well because I want to let her know that she's valued, okay? So, and then the last thing that I feel like people attract and date the wrong type of men is games. So immaturity, basically, emotional immaturity. So if you're playing petty games, like you're like, I'm not going to call him till next week because I don't want him to think I'm too interested. He's probably going to be playing the same type of games you are, right? If you're the type of girl that's like, oh, we just went out last week, he wants to go out this week, and you're like, I got to make him wait for it, or he needs to take me to a better restaurant because he needs to know that I need to know how much money he's willing to spend on me, If you're the type of girl that likes the competition and the chase, I suggest being very careful about that. You know, all those articles and blogs like, oh, play hard to get to make him like you. Um, Honey, the truth is you shouldn't have to play hard to get. If you are a boss, if you have high emotional standards where you're like, I'm going to be treated a certain type of way, that's hard to get, if that makes sense. You don't have to play a game to get a man, okay? You tell, like, if you're talking to a man, you're like, hey, and not in these words, of course, nicer, but if you're like, you, to date me, you need to be kind to me. You need to think about me. You need to be emotionally healed. When you tell a man that, he has to go get with himself and get himself together to date you, okay, honey? That is hard to get. Playing hard to get is when you're playing games and you're like, I'm going to call you later. No, that means you're really easy, but you're trying to make him think that if he plays some games, he can get you. Honey, your life is not a game. You are sweet, you are beautiful, and you guys, we all need to raise our self esteem up here, okay? I'm working on that. The more that I raise my self esteem and I say I'm worthy of a good man and that I should be able to tell the Tonys of the world, like, I don't like being called that much. I don't like when you run that type of joke with me. Um, I don't, I don't, I, hey, like, can we go to the movies every once in a while? Hey, I don't like it when we just go to the places you want. Or, hey, it seems that sometimes you're a little, you shift the blame a little bit on me. If I'm not able to say all those things and he's able to rise up as a man and say, hey, I did shift the blame on you. I am kind of selfish. Wow, I've never thought about it that way. Let me go, like, get with myself and fix myself because I really like you, Christina, and I'd really like to date you, but I realize I need some maturing. Okay, if the guy's not willing to rise up in maturity, if you say something, if you point out or vocalize your needs, he's probably not for you right now. It could be in the future, but I just want to encourage you once again. You deserve the best, and you are probably attracting the wrong men and staying in relationship with them because you don't love yourself. And when you don't love yourself, you attract men that don't love themselves, and those type of men are broken and dysfunctional. Okay, read more on my article on my women's magazine, adornedheart.com. Drop some questions in the comment. I'll try to listen. You can also schedule a phone session with me on adornedheart.com. And also, you can read different blogs that I talk about these different things. And I have links in the thing below. Just check it out. Love you, ladies. Stay strong, stay beautiful.